Hello, Luca. It's wonderful to see you here, and thank you for agreeing to be one of the speakers at the 40-year anniversary celebration of Intact Academy.
Yay.
Yeah.
Thank you
Um,
very much for the invitation. Sorry.
oh,
Pleased to be here with you.
it's a pleasure, and we've known each other in many different roles as colleagues, as sponsors, as student, as teachers. So I'm really delighted to talk to you. Um, for those of the people who don't know you, would you be willing to introduce yourself first before
Yeah.
we go anywhere else?
Yes, I'm a transactional analyst. I work as a change consultant and team coach. And I've been, yeah, part of my training has been with the Intact Academy in, I think it was 2000,
15.
probably something like it, 10 years ago. And I, yeah, work as team coach in organizations that are going through changes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I know you and I had a short conversation before because I said, in general, even after 42 years, I'm exploring the idea, is change possible at all? And it's a bit of a paradox because both of us are in the change business. Um, I know that you're busy with that too. Where are you at with that question?
And when you put that question, I found it provocative in a good way. Is
Yeah.
change possible? Um, I have experience of, I have a good experience of where changes were possible, maybe
Yeah.
not radical changes,
Yeah.
but I would say that the organization, the system, the teams have done a great job in refocusing where they're needed and get their energy there. And changes where it was really hard, good intentions,
Yeah.
but with some, yeah, we could call it resistance, of course, or failure, or it didn't work out as people thought at the beginning. So yeah, I'm faced with this topic rather, yeah, constantly, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, as consultants or as coaches or as team coaches, we make offers to an organization as if it's a linear process,
Yeah.
a beginning, a middle, and an end. But when has life ever ended up the way you thought when you were in kindergarten? You know, it's kind of you have an intention and it goes somewhere. So when you talk about failure, I'm really questioning that. What would you call a failure in change?
Well, failure in the minds of those that thought of this is where we need to go, it
Yeah,
didn't go where they wanted.
yeah,
And I think and I agree with you, we never know how exactly, it's never as planned, first of all. I think this is rule number one. It's never as planned. So be ready that it has to be open to whatever comes up. But as well, I think it's, yeah, because then there's other parties that come in and
mm,
bring their stake in the change process, and have other needs, other views, and so yeah, each one sees a part of the system, and so when you initiate something, you have to sort of bring on board, get the buy-in, and bring on board other parties that then bring other dynamics, and
mm,
so yeah, it evolves. So for me, change is really helping the system to put these different parts together and sort of
mm.
negotiate on where do we need to go and why, and how can we do it to a certain extent.
How can we do it together? Yeah, and I think you and I were talking about this that a large part sometimes of our hurdle to change is really choosing the right sponsor.
Yeah,
Uh, would you be willing to say something about that?
yeah. Well, for me, this is one of the latest learning is around the importance of sponsorship for change, and I think this is very important. Having good sponsorship, if you have a plan, you want to change something, you want to bring change within the system, do you have the right sponsors for change? Because the change you're bringing in is going to impact other departments, other officers probably, and you have to make sure that whoever is impacted, at least the leadership at that level, you have their buy-in as well. Because if their leaders, whoever is impacted, their leaders don't agree fully, they're not fully on board, or they're just wait and see attitude, that's not going to work out.
No.
So I sort of focused a lot of my energy building the conditions for me is really creating a sponsorship coalition, really.
Yeah.
So starting from whoever is initiating the change or wants to bring the change, making sure, first of all, do we have a sponsorship coalition? Is it solid? Are they on board? Are they willing to support the change? And so I think all the energy spent in that area will really make things much easier. Um, yeah, this is my, because I've learned this through my experience sometimes where I thought, it wasn't really good sponsorship on the other side, but then we got a really big resistance or block of the project, and people weren't coming on board because their leaders or the leaders of their leaders weren't really,
It was
yeah,
skating down. So when you say, I'm really interested in this term, sponsorship coalition.
yeah.
So how do you look for them? Do you have criteria or do you have a
Mm.
gut
Yes.
feeling or?
Yes. The criteria I use is mapping out, I'll make it very concrete, mapping out who is impacted by this change. And it's not just maybe the people of your department or your office or your team, but of course, whatever change you're bringing in, others will be impacted. So
Hmm.
the first thing is really mapping out who is impacted and the degree of impact of those that are impacted by whatever you have in mind.
Hmm.
And then you go look at the level up,
Hmm.
and if needed, the level up even more. And so where there is impacted groups that are highly impacted, there I would need to call in their leaders to the highest level possible to
Hmm.
make sure that they are on board, they understand the change, and they are not only willing to support the change, you're giving them, so they have different roles. For me, it's yes, agreeing on the change, one. Two, are they able to speak to their people about why this change is needed?
Hmm.
And three, do they agree to have some, let's say, follow-up meetings as a sponsorship group
Oh,
on
wow.
what can they do as sponsors
Oh, that's really systematic.
to
Yeah, yeah.
support the change? So it becomes a group, a team, where we meet, let's say, every month or so, depending on the project. So it's part of a team coaching, if you want, but making sure that they work as a team, sponsors work as a team, sponsoring the change.
It's fantastic. What a great idea to do that. So, have you been more successful since you've been doing that?
Much more, yeah. Well, I've learned from my mistakes.
We
So,
all do.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, yeah, and I think and it's something that people do understand. It's
Hmm.
easy to understand. I mean, we all have experience of changes we didn't really understand, and our leaders didn't really believe in them. And so I think people, yeah, it's easy to understand and explain, and it does work better. Doesn't make it, of course, that means that you have to start negotiating and explaining to your peers, leaders.
Yeah.
That's a conversation that might not be easy, but I think it's worth doing it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. So, I'm looking at the time. I'm sorry. So,
Yep.
you're very successful. Both, I know you have a long-term engagement with a
Mm.
large multinational, but you have your own practice as well. And if people want to become as successful as you, young people want to, aspire to be the next Luca Fornari, uh, what advice would you give them? How do you really become a good change master?
I have to think about that. I would say what was useful for me, let's put it this way, I'll put it, what was useful for me, if I talk to myself, my
Yes.
young Luca, um, keep investing in my personal and professional development.
Yeah.
So for me, this is ongoing. I'm 55. I keep investing in continuous training, qualifications, supervisions. So this is for me, yeah, the way I keep an eye, the way, yeah, make sure I make good work as much as possible.
Mm,
That's the first thing I would say. The second is go with teams and projects that really inspire you. I think going with the following the people, for me, this is important as well. Following the right projects and people that inspire me. That
yeah.
is, yeah, that puts me in the good mood and good energy, let's say.
Hmm.
And thirdly, I think just putting myself in the learning mode as much as possible. Yeah, and creating network with colleagues and other colleagues as much as possible. So create a coalition with other colleagues. I would say
Yeah.
these are the three elements useful
That
for
you,
me, at least they would be useful for me.
oh, fantastic. Thank you so much, Luca, for this conversation. And hopefully we'll see each other soon.
Thank you very much, Sari, for the invitation, and thank you for listening.
You're very welcome.